You are most welcome to this video, Saturday the 23rd. Three themes I want to look at this morning, and they're all very important. Now, the first one, and I'm going to make a strong case for this from the evidence, I think, is I am really concerned that the amount of cases in the United States could go up really quite dramatically as a result of new variants, and we're going to be looking at that. And you don't need me to spell out the implications of this. They are potentially huge. So that's the first thing. I'm really worried that the cases are going to increase in the States. Second thing is the new variant, the new UK variant, which is the reason I'm worried about the States really, appears to cause more serious disease than the previous variant. Now, the data on this is not firm, but the Prime Minister and the scientific advisors agreed that it was a realistic enough prospect to put out to the public, so we'll be talking about that. The bottom line on that is it's not a huge effect, but there does seem to be a real effect there. And the third point today really is the vaccination programme is just not going well at all in Canada and Europe because of supply issues, and it really is a problem, and we really need to authorise the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine, which can be made in about 30 factories around the country and around the world, and I just don't know why that's not being authorised. But the main thing I want to start off with is my fear about the United States. Now, I was accused of fear-mongering last January and February and March, in fact. In fact, I've been accused of fear-mongering all the way through when I first called this pandemic back in January, February, and various other things along the way. Now, I'm not. It's not fear-mongering. This is a considered warning, really, or what could happen. Now, let me tell you why, because we want to base this on evidence, not on me chuntering. Now, here's the falling cases in the United Kingdom, the red line. Here's the falling cases in the United States. Good to see. Quite uncanny. It can only be pure coincidence that the number of cases per capita in the UK and the US are pretty well identical at the moment. Really strange coincidence. But before we come on to that, the reason for this in the United Kingdom is we are in a strict lockdown, all four countries of the United Kingdom. So you won't realise this if you're in the States as much, but Northern Ireland, Scotland, Wales and all of England is in a state of virtually complete lockdown. There are really severe curtailments on life at the moment. So that's why it's going down in those countries. Whereas the United States, it isn't as locked down as we are, and yet the numbers are going down. So it's good to see, but the point is it's a bit like we were in November, December even, when the numbers were going down. But then this new variant hit us and ruined everything. It's this new variant that's ruined everything. We were doing really well before this new variant hit, and I'm going to give evidence for that as well. Canada, cases going down again in Canada. But again, we don't know about the new variant in Canada. So this warning does apply to Canada to some extent as well. Now, the country I'm going to use for an analogy is Denmark. And as you can see, things appear to be going really well in Denmark. Cases are going down quite nicely. Now, Denmark is under a lot of restrictions at the moment. It's essentially locked down like the UK. But the Danish authorities are really worried about this new variant. And I'm going to draw analogies between Denmark and the US, and indeed between the US and Portugal, and between the US and Ireland. So that's Denmark we're going to be comparing it to. So numbers are going down, looking good, but the Danish authorities are really worried at the moment. Now this line here is Ireland. Now Ireland is doing fairly well, a bit like the rest of the British Isles, geographically speaking. November cases were going down nicely. Then all of a sudden this happened. And this was caused by the new UK variant that caused those cases to go up like that. Now, if it caused the UK variant to go up like that in Ireland, which is a fairly mostly ruralish, low-populated density country, could the same happen in the United States? This is my concern. Now, you see it's gone down equally dramatically in Ireland, but that's because all of Ireland, all of the Republic of Ireland is under a strict lockdown regime at the moment. That's why it went down so dramatically, the same as England. That's why it's gone down. The restrictions in the United States are nothing like as strict as they were to get that lockdown that reduction as the lockdown took effect in Ireland. Now, Portugal, again, the genomic testing is not that great in Portugal. But the reason that Portugal, the cases are skyrocketing, is because the UK variant has arrived. The B117 2012 Kent UK English variant, whatever you want to call it, just the one that was first discovered here. Where it came from, we're not sure. Doesn't matter. This is the problem we've got at the moment, and it's a real problem. So this is what's happened in Portugal. So the UK is coming down now. So we were going up and up and up with the new variant. We managed to control it with a strict lockdown. Portugal, the new variant, seems to have arrived. It's hard to tell because the genomic testing is still being done. And look at the increase in cases. So that is that is the concern at the moment. Now, let me tell you a bit more about Denmark. Comparing Denmark and the United States. Now, Denmark's under strict lockdown. New daily cases are down, but the UK variant is increasing from, albeit a low level, but it's increasing by 70% a week. Now, this is what this variant does. It's so much more transmissible. It increases at a really high level. So the number of new variants identified last week and this week in Denmark, well, this week they've identified 70% more. It's an exponential increase in the new variant. It's almost a pandemic on a pandemic. I mean, the pandemic we now have in the UK and in Ireland is a new variant pandemic. It's taken over. This is what we now essentially have. It's the most common diagnosis now. Sequencing every positive coronavirus case. Now, Denmark, get this, Denmark sequences more than anyone else in the world. Every time there's a positive case in Denmark, they sequence it, so they have good data. This is why they're so worried about it. They've got good data. So the results here are sequencing. So Denmark is sequencing 100% of all cases. The United States is sequencing 0.3% of cases. And that's only just picked up. It was way lower than that just a few weeks ago, before the testing was dramatically increased just a few weeks ago in the States. So just compare that, 100%, 0.3%. Denmark know they have a problem. I think the United States have got a problem but don't know it, I'm afraid to say. This lady, she's one of the chiefs of State Serum Institute group. Now, this is the group in Denmark that Camilla works for. Genomic scientist group. So this is what she said. Without this variant, we'd be in really good shape. So these are the people that are doing the sequencing. If you look at the reproductive number, you just wouldn't see that it was growing. It was in growth underneath at all. So it's coming up from underneath. That's what she's worried about, it coming up. Predominant strain of the virus by mid-February. It's going to become the predominant strain of the virus by mid-February. So that's 4 weeks' time. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in the United States say that B117 could be the most prevalent form by March. Now, by March, I'm really hopeful that the vaccination program is going to be going big time in the States, but I don't think it's going to be enough to introduce herd immunity. So it's going to be a real race between vaccination and the accelerated exponential growth of the UK variant. This is what the problem is. Daily coronavirus cases in Denmark could be quadrupled by the beginning of April. So what they're saying in Denmark is that the new variant could be the most prominent variant by the middle of February, and by the middle of April, cases could have quadrupled. Just think what that would mean for the United States. It's devastating for Denmark, but for a country like the United States, just think what that would potentially mean. More information from Denmark. This is the scientific director for the Sequencing Institute again. I'm not quite sure what the difference between these two institutes are, actually. But never mind, it doesn't matter. These are people in authority, in scientific authority in Denmark. This period is going to be a bit like a tsunami. Now, when I read that, with me the penny dropped. This is what has frightened me. You can probably tell by my tone I'm a bit perturbed at the moment, because we woke up, it was 2004, we woke up to the news of the devastating tsunami in Indonesia. Massive earthquake in the Indian Ocean, undersea earthquake, and this huge tsunami. Massive wave trundled ashore and killed so many people. It was a total disaster. But what happened when the tsunami wave is coming is people were standing on the shore, and when the tsunami wave's coming, the effect of the tsunami, the advanced effect of the tsunami wave is that the tide goes out and out and out and out and out and out. So it's as if the sea's going away, because the water's being sucked in to this huge wave that's coming. So what happened in Indonesia, lots of people thought, oh, that's interesting, because we didn't know about tsunamis till 2004. I mean, you did if you were a geologist or something, but most of us didn't know about it. And so they thought, oh, this is strange. And they went out and sort of walked a few hundred yards out to sea, and they were looking at the seabed and picking shells, and, oh, this is interesting. And of course, the tsunami hit. So that was a terrifying analogy. New variant was first detected on the 14th of December, may have been with them at a low, very low rate since the 14th of November. So this has come up within a month, and within another month from now, so 2 months altogether, it could become the predominant strain, and 2 months after that, quadruple the cases in Denmark. Early data shows the UK variant is 36% more contagious in the Danish situation. I'm sure that data is going to change. The smart money is on about 55% more contagious, which is enough to change an awful lot. Vaccines late start, large-scale vaccination in April in Denmark because of the supply issues, and by then cases could have quadrupled. AstraZeneca vaccine. Emergency youth authorisation should be mid-February. So I really hope they're building up stocks of Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine now all over Europe, to just let them gush out as soon as the European Medicines Agency get round to authorising the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine. It really is quite unbelievable that they haven't done this. What part of the word emergency don't they understand? I can't pretend to be any happier about them than that, because I'm not. So again, these graphs, that's the new variant in Portugal. That's the new variant in Ireland, only brought down with a dramatic lockdown. And that's the situation. Denmark are expecting their cases to quadruple. So Denmark are expecting this sort of thing. And the potential for that to happen in the States, I'm afraid, is still there. So that is my main concern today. Now, just to reinforce this, we reported on the island just a week or two back because of the high prevalence. So this was a couple of weeks ago. They had the highest prevalence per capita. So if I just find the island graph again there. At this point in time, Ireland had the highest officially diagnosed cases per capita anywhere in the world. That's what the new variant did to them. And we know the new variant is growing in the States. And the CDC realised that it's going to become perhaps the most prevalent United States variant. That was at the time in Ireland. We expect now that the new variant is basically the most common form in Ireland now. So the United States, this could well be coming, I'm afraid. I dearly, sincerely hope I am wrong. But I may not be. I really hope I am. But these things, I seem to have been right about it a few times over the past year. Let's hope I've got it wrong this time. United States, past 7 days. So excellent, down 20%. New daily reported cases. New daily reported deaths even down 7%, and that's great because we know there's a lag. Now they're still very high. And President Biden warned yesterday that there's going to be another 100,000 deaths in the next month, taking it to over 500,000. So it's still high. It's coming off a high plateau, but the direction is good. But we're waiting for the effect of the new variant to kick in. COVID-related hospitalisations down 7.9% in the past week, so that's good. Test positivity rate is still high, 9.4%. 5% is the epidemic threshold. It's down from where it was, but how many of those are the new variant is the question. The B117, as it's usually referred to in the US press. Vaccine doses starting to come up, but still a slow kick-off, it's got to be said. And 2 doses at 0.84% of the population. So, okay. Now, I think I will move on to the problems in the UK with the possible increased pathogenicity of the new variant. New variant may be more deadly, increasing mortality, more people basically may die. Was the news yesterday from the Prime Minister, Patrick Vallance, Chief Scientific Officer, Chris Whitty, Chief Medical Officer, all stood there and warned us about this. And of course, this is the new variant that's spreading in the States. And so the combination of massive increase in cases with more pathogenicity is a frightening one. Most common variant in the UK now by a long way is this new variant. As I said, it's basically taken over. Now, mathematicians comparing death rates. So what they did is, as the old variant, what we might call the old type of the virus, was on its way out and the new variant was on the way in. Basically, that formed 2 groups, and they were able to compare and contrast the 2 groups. So they took death data from the old virus, death data from the new virus, and that's how they've come up with that. So it's kind of a ready formed controlled experiment, really, because we had both viruses at the same time. And in the UK, we're able to easily diagnose the new variant because it fortunately showed up on the PCR test. So we could diagnose it straight from the antigenic polymerase chain reaction test. So the data on the spread of the new virus in the UK is very good because it fortunately showed up on the new test. It's largely the impact of this new variant that means the NHS is under such intense pressure. That's a direct quote from the Prime Minister. So without this new variant, we'd be all right. It's this new variant that's messed everything up. With the intense lockdown, we've got the R value to just under 1 at the moment. R is 0.8 to 1. Now, this is from the New and Emerging Viruses Group, Threats Advisory Group. So this is the people that look into new and emerging viruses. They say there's a realistic possibility that the virus had become more deadly, but this is far from certain. So that's reassuring. But for the Prime Minister, the Chief Scientific Officer and the Chief Medical Officer to stand there saying that they're worried about it is enough for us to take this on board seriously. So Patrick Vallance, Chief Scientific Officer, there is evidence that there's an increased risk for those who have the new variant. And he says the new variant spreads between 30 and 70% faster. The data I have is about 55%. So that would be about right. So in a sense, this number doesn't matter because we know it messes up everything if you have the new variant. The reason that the UK is in such a bad situation is the new variant. Ireland, it's the new variant. Portugal, it's the new variant. And I've showed you the graphs of what it does. That's what the new variant does. That's what it does. And there's going to be higher death rates in Ireland as a result of that. Of course, that's going to be delayed. The increased deaths in Ireland are going to be delayed, as are the increased pressures on the hospital situation in Ireland. Hints it's about 30% more deadly. That is quite frightening. And there was an example given. For example, with 1,000 patients who are 60 years old who are infected. Old variant, 10 deaths out of 1,000. New variant, 13 deaths out of 1,000. Doesn't sound much, but when you consider it's increasing the case fatality rate from 1% in that age group to 1.3%, and the fact that this is now spreading globally does mean that this pandemic is going to be potentially more deadly than we thought. Just before this press conference, basically. We don't have the data yet; it's not published yet, but we have these press reports, and they are accurate. 50 other countries also have the new variant, though. Therefore, 50 other countries can look forward to accelerated spread of the virus and increased mortality. Now, variant of concern and vaccine, Pfizer and AstraZeneca are still expected to work. So those vaccines are still expected to work on the UK variant. More question about the South African and Brazilian variants. So there's more question marks about those. So scientific opinion at the moment is happy that the Pfizer and the AstraZeneca vaccine, and indeed the Oxford, the Pfizer vaccine, the Pfizer BioNTech and the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines are still working. They're the two we're giving out in the UK at the moment. We just need to do that with renewed urgency. Are the vaccines going to need tweaked for the South African and Brazilian variants at some time in the future? Possibly. Are they going to give a fair degree of cover now? I would expect they'll give a fair degree of cover now, but they may need tweaked at some stage. Now, there's a lot more I could have said there. I think I've actually got quite a few more news items. I think I'm going to leave that there for now because I don't want to sort of dilute the import of what I've said there, really. Let's just look at those graphs again. New variant in Portugal. New variant in Ireland. Denmark expecting to go the same way as Ireland and or Portugal, or fearing that. And the evidence that in Denmark they're sequencing 100%. In the United States they're sequencing 0.3% of all cases. So that's what I'm worried about. So the time to, in Dr. Fauci's words, hunker down is now, because we have to get these vaccines. We have to give time for these vaccines to take the lead over the exponential rise of the new variant and the implications that that has. Okay, I'm going to leave it there today. Thank you for watching. I did have quite a bit more news, but we'll leave that as that is for now, because I'm actually quite concerned about this. But of course, it's in our hands. We can choose what to do. The reassurance is the vaccines are going to work, and the reassurance is that we can achieve this with non-pharmaceutical interventions, as they have done in Ireland. But it's been difficult, expensive, and borderline draconian, really. But needed done. Just think what would have happened in Ireland without that, without those interventions. Is the United States capable of the interventions that Ireland was capable of? I don't know. If you're in the States, you may have your opinions on that. To me, that will be an open question. Okay, thank you for watching this video, of course.